Pre-Code Horror Comic Book Reprints. Part 3. Tales Too Terrible to Tell. The 1980s and 90s saw a resurgence of pre-code horror comic book reprints from a variety of small publishers. Today, we look at NEC New England Comics and Tales Too Terrible to Tell, some of my favorite reprints for a variety of reasons. To be clear, Tales Too Terrible to Tell published all interior reprints in black and white, which can be a turnoff for some pre-code comics fans. However, the reprints in the issues I have are clean and sharp for the most part, making the reading very enjoyable. More importantly, the crew of Tales Too Terrible to Tell, led by editor George Suarez, art director Bob Polio, assistant editor Larry Boyd, and research assistant Billy Devine, made this publication much more than just a collection of pre-code horror comic book stories reprinted and thrown into a magazine. Inside each issue is a wealth of information about the comics, artists, writers, and publishers, making Tales Too Terrible to Tell a must-have for any pre-code horror comics enthusiast. Besides the reprinted comic book stories, each issue has a section called TERROLOGY that dives into the nuts and bolts of pre-code publishers, titles, and artists. Suarez also published a companion magazine called TERROLOGY, specifically designed to be an informative guide to pre-code comics. You can get many of these on eBay. Additionally, Tales Too Terrible to Tell features a gallery of classic horror covers in each issue, showing the cover and talking about the artist and cool details about the particular issue. There is also a Letters to the Tomb section in the back of each issue with correspondence from fans, which can be very entertaining. But that's not all. I have issues 1 through 8. And while most of the issues of Tales Too Terrible to Tell have color reprints of great pre-code covers, issue number 1 and 3 have exclusive covers by the great Steve Swamp Thing Bissett. Issue number 1, with the gloriously ghoulish zombie flesh rip-a-rama cover by Bissett, was a specially numbered limited edition you can still get on eBay for around $20 or so. Just make sure it's the limited edition. A few years later, they re-released issue number 1 without the Bissett cover, and in its place the Jack Katz Shrunken Head cover, originally published in issue number 8 of Out of the Shadows in 1953. And as a kind of strange extra, many of the issues feature early stories from Ben Edlund's The Tick. NEC Comics carried The Tick for a while, so I imagine it was a kind of cross-promotional idea. And apparently Mr. Edlund was a fan and supporter of the Tales Too Terrible to Tell project. In summary, if you are a true fan of pre-code horror comics, you should get your claws on a set of Tales Too Terrible to Tell immediately. Highly recommended. This concludes part 3 of this series. As always, please like and subscribe. Thank you.